Hey Farm Fam, it's Todd from Headwaters Homestead. Coming at you today from another unseasonably warm Ohio day. It's January 29th and temperatures right now are about 43 degrees. You can see most of the snow that we had on the ground earlier this week has melted off. You can hear the chickens crowing. That's Teddy Roo. They're out and exploring and foraging. I'm going to take advantage of the warm weather today and work on another project around the homestead. This one is something that comes directly out of permaculture, and that is setting up your food and the things that you use frequently closer to your home and your homestead itself. So we're going to convert one of our flower beds. If you've seen the flower beds we keep here, we have quite a different variety. We have lots of color and pop. We're going to keep that up in front of the house, but we're also going to add a series of raised herb beds right outside the front door, right outside the kitchen window. That way we'll have access to those fresh herbs whenever we need them. Let me show you what we're talking about. They certainly don't look like much now, but this is the flower bed right outside our front door. Come off the porch down the steps and you walk right between these two beds. I'm going to throw a picture in here so you can see what it looks like in full bloom. It's quite a contrast from what you see here right now. Right up there is our kitchen window, and right outside the front door on the inside of the walk is this section flower bed. What we're going to do today is dig all of this up with the exception of the butterfly bush. We're going to leave that there, trim it back down come spring because it does attract a good number of pollinators. But we're going to remove all the dirt and soil in here, pull out these existing flowers. We're going to transplant some of them. There's a couple little maple trees that sprung up here. They dropped down from this maple tree in our front yard. They took root last year, and I've let them go for a little bit because I was hoping to be able to harvest them and transplant them elsewhere on the property. The weather right now is good for that as well. So I'm going to dig up those root balls, tie them up in burlap, and set those off to the side for planting more in the spring. But we are going to transition this whole bed into a level surface. We're going to make sure we got the drainage away from the house so it's not coming through the basement wall. And we are actually going to put a series of raised beds for our herb garden in this existing place. So I'm going to go get the tools for this job and we're going to get started. So part of the reason I decided to do this project today was that it's warmer than normal for January, and the National Weather Service said there was 0% chance of rain for the next several hours. Should I tell them or you want to do it? We are getting rained on a little bit, but when the temperature's this warm, I honestly don't mind it. So I'm going to start with these three trees back here behind me. Last year for Father's Day, the kids got me an apple tree, which I thought was an excellent Father's Day gift. It came in this pot here. So I'm going to take some of the earth that we have up here, that we're not going to need all of it, and I'm going to transplant this, and this maple tree into the bucket for now. This is big enough that it'll accommodate all three of them through the winter, and then in the spring we'll probably move them out, plant them in the south pasture. So that's my first project for the day, is to get these out of the ground. Give it some good dirt, make sure I get a good enough root ball that we don't harm the tree. All right, so I've got my, well, I was aiming for 3, but I might have as many as 4 to 5 young silver maples in this pot. This is the dormant time of year for them, so the way I'm doing shouldn't cause too much damage to them. They've got a root mass that spreads right under the surface of the soil, a really fibrous web of roots as opposed to having a deep shooting down taproot more like an oak would. So by taking a good surface area of dirt around them, hopefully some of these trees will survive and thrive once we relocate them. Come over and throw them in the wheelbarrow, and then we're going to move them down on the south side of the chicken coop for the time being. And as we get closer to spring, we'll see about getting these in the ground. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is get in here with a good stiff rake, and we're gonna tear up this vegetation that you see behind me. We're gonna rake all that up. Right now I'm gonna throw it in the wheelbarrow. I'm gonna take it down, put it on the compost pile. Anything that happens to resprout down there or around that pile is gonna be a beautification effort, not intended, but if it continues to survive and thrive, that's great. And if it breaks down into matter that we can eventually put into our gardens, that's a benefit too. But having herbs up here and things that we'll use in the kitchen is going to give us a greater benefit than some of the duplicate plants that we had in this bed here. All right, farm fam, I'm back again. I was going to shoot more video outside, but it is now much later in the evening, and it rained 100% of the time that I was out earlier working on that project. I think you could see it a little bit in the end there. That was a sweaty, wet, and muddy mess by the time I got it finished. I do have a couple of pictures of the finished prep work that I'll tag on the end of the video here. One thing that became apparent after getting all that vegetation out of there was how much the dirt actually sloped towards the foundation. So we had to level that out first. And that allowed us then to get a nice even bed. You even used the broad fork a little bit to get that to where we wanted it. After that, it was just a matter of using a rake to level out the ground and tamp it down along the foundation wall. This is all set up now. We can put in some stonework, and then we'll be able to move in the beds. That'll be our raised beds. I want to say that it was good to get out today and get some work done in another relatively mild and gentle January day here on the homestead. The herb garden and adhering to permaculture principles are going to go a long way in helping make our homestead just flow better. So I'm looking forward to completing that project. Looking forward to completing the chicken tractor. Those parts are still down in my garage waiting to be assembled. Next time we get a warm day, I'm probably going to get out and work on that some as well. Christine and I both work off-farm jobs, and so we have to make the most of every day we have, and that might mean working a little bit in the rain. But if it gets a project done, if it gets us moved closer to living more in accordance with the natural world, then that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep doing that right here on the homestead, and our goal is one day that maybe the homestead here will support us to the point that we don't have to rely on those off-farm jobs. So I hope you enjoyed hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed this part of the project, and we'll see you next time. All right. Have a good day, farm fam. We'll see ya.